Hi, I'm Ian Lyngklip, the Consumer Insider. I'm a consumer protection attorney from Southfield, Michigan, and I love my job. For 25 years, I've been representing consumers in disputes with credit reporting agencies, debt collectors, and car dealers. And every week we bring you a new podcast and show you how it is that these businesses use documents and business practices to cheat and bully consumers. And today I want to talk to you about something that not a lot of people know about, which is credit denial letters. These letters come to you pretty regularly after you've applied for credit, and not a lot of people know what they are or what information's in them. So today's video is going to be targeted at giving you information about what these notices are, what they're supposed to do, why they're being sent, and what kinds of information is in them that will help you understand your credit situation and what you can do to improve your credit and whether or not you maybe have been cheated on something. So I wanted to start this out by showing you exactly where this comes from. I'll explain to you a little bit about the law that's involved here. So first thing I wanted to show you is where does this notice comes from. And what I'm showing you here is a provision of the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, the regulations that were promulgated under them. These regulations tell you exactly what this notice is and why it's being sent by businesses. And it is because the law requires that creditors, when they take a credit application, if they deny you credit, or if they are going to take action on an incomplete credit application, they have to send you this notice telling you that they have denied you credit. And they've got to do it within 30 days. And if they're denying you credit, they have to send this notice in writing. The next thing that you should note about this is what the law requires of them, which is that the notice that they're providing to you has to have certain things in it. And the first thing that it has to have in it is the action that's being taken. They have to tell you, we're denying you credit. You're not getting credit today. And the second thing is they've got to give you a statement of the specific reasons, or there's an exception right here. The exception is if they don't want to give you those reasons, they can instead give you a notice telling you that you can write to them and ask for reasons. I can't see what the useful purpose of not giving the reasons at the time of the denial notice, but that's what Congress and the Federal Reserve Board decided. So that's what's in the notice and why it's being triggered and sent out to you. If you're getting one of these notices in the mail, you've been denied credit, and now it's time to figure out what kind of information is there. So what I want to show you now is a couple of notices that I pulled that I've seen that have come across our desk kind of recently in connection with some cases. So the first thing that you'll notice on these is, so this sample notice, first thing you'll see here is that just as I told you before, this notice is telling you, unfortunately, we are unable to approve your request at this time. And then the second thing that they're doing is they're going to give you that list of reasons right there. There it is. Bankruptcy, collection, charge-off, or judgment. So they're telling you exactly why it is that the credit is being denied. And then the next thing that's happening is that they are providing you with a phone number, a contact number where the consumer can reach out to the creditor and get more information about what has happened and why it's happened. And if you scoot down a little bit further, there's some other information here that that's really important. One of the things that happens when you get a notice and when you've been denied credit is that if there was a credit report that was involved in that credit process, the creditor has to tell you what happened there. The creditor has to inform you that, hey, we used a credit report, and they've got to identify that credit reporting agency to you. And the reason they need to do that is because once they have notified you that you've been denied credit based on a credit report, you as the consumer are entitled to a free copy of the report from that credit reporting agency. You can't get that free credit report from any other agency, but you can get it from the agency that issued the report that caused you to be denied. So in this case, you can see right here that the creditor has notified the consumer that yes, they're entitled to a copy of the report. You can write for it within 60 days. And right here, they've given them the identity of the credit reporting agency that provided the report. In this case, it was Equifax. And the consumer can write to that credit reporting agency and get a free report. This is super important, especially if you suspect that you are a victim of identity theft or that there may be errors on your credit report. The denial notice is, in fact, your opportunity to see, oh, was Was there something going on there? Was there something in that credit report that caused the denial? And now you can order the credit report, take a look at it, and see whether the errors or some of the identity theft items are on that report. One of the other things that this creditor has done here, this is a requirement that comes out of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, not under the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, but right here, there's information about the credit score that was used. Because this creditor who looked at this report was using a credit score, they are now disclosing the score that they used, and they are telling the consumer right here what kinds of factors were the ones that principally created the derogatory credit score that that consumer got. So you can see right here that what was going on is that there was a serious delinquency or public records, loan balances too high, lack of recent revolving credit history, number of accounts with delinquencies, and number of inquiries on the credit bureau. So you have two separate things that are going on here. And I'm going to scoot back up to the top here and show you again. Right here you see the reasons for the denial, okay? These are not necessarily the reasons for the credit score, but these are the reasons why the creditor has said that this consumer is being denied credit. And here's the second thing that's going on that's different, which is that this is a list of the reasons why the credit score looks the way it does, why that credit score was marked down as low as it was, which is 586. It's a pretty low credit score if you're looking to buy a car or a house. Unlikely to get credit from any of the conventional lenders, and you probably would have to go to a subprime lender to get any credit from them. So the next thing I wanted to show you is this, what it looks like when you see that there is, in fact, again, a denial, and it's a different credit reporting agency. So you can see here again, the creditor is notifying the consumer right here that the credit was requested and was denied. Okay, they don't want this transaction. But the next thing that they're telling them is that there was a different credit reporting agency than Equifax involved. Here there were actually two credit reporting agencies that were involved. One was TransUnion and one was a company called SageStream, and they have some different information. And again, you see now here in the middle of the page the information about the credit score. It tells you what the credit score that they saw was and the factors that caused that credit report to be the way it was right here. Delinquencies, lack of recent credit, same kinds of things for this consumer. Now, what you didn't see earlier in this notice, and you don't see here either, is that there's no reasons for the denial of credit. Instead, this creditor has opted to do that thing that I told you about before, which is they've opted to provide a notice saying, hey, consumer, you can get the reasons, but you're going to have to write to us to ask us for those reasons. And we always recommend that our clients, if they get a notice that looks like this and the reasons for the denial are not there on the report, we tell our clients, write away for those reasons. And we have a free letter on our website that will allow you to do that, that can help you right away to the creditor and ask for those ECOA reasons. And by the way, there is always, on these letters, there should always be an address. Usually it's at the top, sometimes it's not, but there's always supposed to be an address identifying where it is that you can write for more information. And it may be also at the bottom here. And there's also a listing on this notice for an agency, a governmental agency that supervises this particular creditor. So those are some of the important things that are on these notices. I just want to show you a couple more of these real quick and explain to you some of the other things that you might see in here. And this one is really interesting here. Once again, we see here that the creditor in the first outset says, thanks them for the application and tells them, hey, we were not able to approve you. And something else happens here. However, we can offer you credit conditioned on the following changes of terms and conditions. And you see those terms and conditions here in the middle of the page, right? I've blanked them out to protect the privacy of the consumer involved. But what you can see here is that in the first column, they've identified the credit that was requested, and in this column here, they've got a listing for where it is that is the amount that this creditor has actually approved. This happens very commonly in car transactions where a car dealer maybe has added a huge amount what we call soft add-ons, things like products that are not related to the car, like window etching and insurance products, gap insurance, credit life, credit disability, maybe even a warranty or service contract that's being charged for separately. Maybe that car is going out the door with way too much of these soft products in there that won't, to the point where the value of this car will not support the amount that's being borrowed. So in those cases, you see that the creditors, the lenders who are, or the finance companies who are there and are going to provide money for this transaction, they will not lend that much money on the vehicle. And so what they do is they tender a counteroffer, and they provide the amount of money that they would lend based on this. And so that is a common thing to see. And again, you see something else that's interesting happening here, which is not only have they provided those terms and conditions, they've also given a timeline for the consumer to let the creditor know whether or not they want that credit. So again and again, when you see that there's a denial or a counteroffer like this, the consumer is again given the opportunity to review the credit report that caused that denial or problem with the credit report. And so one more of these things, I wanted to show you just one more of these, just so you can see a little bit of the different format that may be used by these creditors. And this is coming from another major creditor, and this one is not actually, it doesn't look like it's pre-typewritten, but it looks like it has these check boxes on it instead. But this is a perfectly acceptable way of providing this kind of a notice to a consumer. They just look a little bit different. But again, you see the same things that are required of these notices being present in this notice. There's a listing of what the action is that they've taken. They're denying credit. And there's a listing of why it is that they're denying that credit. And you can see that there was a credit score listed, and they're providing the reasons why it is that credit score is as low as it is and the factors that cause that. So these notices, just to put a point on it, these notices are super important for consumers to let them know, first of all, how their credit is and how it is that the creditors that they're applying for credit to, how it is that they're viewing you as a consumer. And you always want to read these notices, because all over the internet you see all kinds of information from companies, from credit repair companies and so-called experts telling you how it is to fix your credit score. Well, if you want to know how to fix your credit score, read these letters. These letters have all the information that tells you exactly what the creditors are looking at and what the credit scoring models that are used by FICO are looking to. And if it tells you that you've got serious delinquencies, well, it's time for you to go back in and clear up those serious delinquencies. If it's telling you you've got too many inquiries, then you've got to stop applying for so much credit. If it tells you that your balances are too high, it means you've got to reduce those balances. And if there's judgments there and outstanding judgments, you need to go back, pay those judgments, and clean those up and get satisfactions. Those are the things that you need to do. That's the first thing that you know about these. And the second is, again, these notices can be a bellwether, a real canary in the coal mine to let you know when it is that you maybe have a problem with your credit that you didn't think was going on out there. And certainly for our clients who've been identity theft victims, the first notice, the first opportunity for them to realize that they may have been a victim of identity theft may well come when they get one of these notices in the mail, because they have otherwise perfectly fine credit and all of a sudden they're being denied. One of the other things that can happen, by the way, is that when those creditors are pulling credit reports, they may be sending those adverse action notices back to an address where the identity thief has not applied from. So in other words, that notice may come to you because an identity thief has applied for credit. Maybe they've used your address, maybe they haven't, but the creditor may be using your true address to notify you of a denial on a piece of credit that you have not applied for. So if you see a denial notice and you have not applied for credit previously, that is a real warning sign that you may be a victim of identity theft, an ongoing one that you caught right in the middle. So that's all we've got today for about credit denial notices. Keep these documents. These documents are an important part of your credit history, and you should scan them and archive them and keep them with your other documents. And just remember that if you have a problem with these and you need to see an attorney, you're going to want to bring these notices with you. Okay, that's it for today. I'm Ian Lyngklip, the Consumer Insider. I want to thank you for watching. Remember, if this video has helped you, hit the like button below share the video, pay it forward, send it to somebody who might need it or benefit from the information that's in it. You can find me on the web at www.consumerlawyers.com. If you'd like to suggest a topic, if you want to write back to me and make a comment about any of the videos, you can do that by writing at podcast at consumerlawyers.com, and you can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Facebook. That's all for today. Remember, your rights die if you don't use them. Please exercise those rights.